We are introducing Arewa Youth Mentorship Program. The AYMP is a collection of Northern Nigeria academics and professionals from different spheres of life who volunteer to offer free mentorship and equip Northern Nigeria youth at all levels with necessary knowledge on career opportunities, scholarship grants, personality building, innovation, among others.
My name is Tariq Ahmed, and as always, on behalf of the Arewa Youth Mentorship Program Organizing Committee, it is my honor and privilege really to welcome you all to our today's session on expert tips on mastering the strategies for identifying profitable business opportunities. Now, today we have in our midst a lineup of seasoned professionals, including Professor Murtala Sagagi. We have Dr. Lawal Aminu, Engineer Sanusi Dantata, and also Honorable Lawal Gada. So each of them really brings today a kind of unique perspective as well as set of experiences in order to engage us all today. So we believe that really this subject is crucial, especially in today's dynamic as well as ever evolving business landscape, where, as you all know, it's quite difficult to identify the right opportunity in order to make a significant difference. So the aim of this session today really is not just to provide you with theoretical knowledge, but really to equip you with kind of practical insights, actionable strategies that you can immediately apply, or that we can all really immediately apply in our entrepreneurial journeys. But before we delve into these discussions, I think it would be really nice, especially for those that are joining us for the first time, to hear from Dr. Fauzia Yakase, who will talk us through, the sort of activities that we do at the Arewa Youth Mentorship Program and how you can also actively participate, whether as a mentor or as a mentee. Now, following Dr. Fauzia's introduction, we'll hear from Honorable Professor, who would give us a talk for about 45 minutes. And then, of course, as you've seen in the editorials, we've got three discussants whom each would have about 10 to 15 minutes. Obviously, we're very much, happy to have you all. We'll give you the opportunity to ask your questions at the end of the session. So we'll have a Q&A session where you can use either raise hand option or you can use the chat box to type in your questions. And inshallah, we'll have those addressed at the end of the session. So without further ado, I'll pass on the virtual mic to Dr. Fauzia Yakase to talk to us about the AYMP and how we can get involved. Dr. Fauzia, over to you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And we extend our warm welcome to Professor Sagagi and our esteemed speakers, discussants. Your presence is greatly appreciated. So today's focus will be, of course, like Dr. Tariq said, entrepreneurship. And with the kind of distinguished panel I'm seeing, we are going to inspire a lot of people to become Dangote by mind. So remaining by action, inshallah. So we will share our social media handles where you can follow us for updates and explore our past programs on YouTube. Remember, it's not just, we have a lot of things we do. It's not just about entrepreneurship. We also have scholarships and other things. So I'm going to post it on the chat. And thank you for being there. And I remember when I sent the poster to Prof, he was like, why are they all guys in the poster? So I want to use this opportunity to tell him that we actually have programs with ladies and distinguished and brilliant ladies. We have them on our YouTube. I'll also share it with him so that he can look at the programs we have done before. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that was a really good observation from Prof. Hopefully, from the talks today, as you've said, Dr. Fauzia will have, really inspire quite a lot of more people, especially the ladies. So hopefully, when we're having our next session that has to do with business entrepreneurship, hopefully we'll have more women as discussants. So thank you very much. I always receive a number of pages of CVs, and usually I try to, kind of apologize for cutting those CVs short. So again, today I'll do that. I do apologize for cutting most of your CVs short. So in, a kind of introduction to Professor Sagagi, who will be our first speaker today. Professor is kind of a pioneer dean of the Dangote Business School by University Kano. He is also an inclusive economic growth advisor for Global Affairs Canada and the lead policy specialist for the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. He studied business management, global economics, and entrepreneurship in Nigeria, the United States, as well as Italy. And he has authored and co-authored over 100 publications and policy documents, and also maintains scholarly and professional collaborations both within the country and internationally. In his attempts to support private sector development, wealth, and job creation, he has helped in the creation and growth of small businesses, in addition to supporting the establishment of entrepreneurship centers in the country as well as in the United Kingdom. And over a period of time, he's provided technical support in the creation and evolution of investment promotion agencies in Kano, Kaduna, Bauchi, and also provided professional services to many international organizations, including the World Bank, British Council, and many others. He gained policy experiences as a former special policy advisor to the Minister of Agriculture and in the development of national, regional, and sectorial policies and strategies, such as the National Entrepreneurship Education Policy and National Agricultural Technology and Innovation Policy, which is the NATIP, and also the Special Agro Processing Zone, among many others. He does contribute to community development organizations such as the Arewa Research and Development Project, the Northern Reform Organization, Kano Concerned Citizen Initiatives, and really many others. It's won a number of international awards, including the Fulbright USA government and the Ozonia Award, which was for the University of Oxford, among many others. So thank you very much, Prof, for honoring our invitation. I'll give you the floor now. I hope you can hear me, Dr. Fauzia. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right, so that's not for me. Can we unmute Prof, please?
I think he can unmute.
Are you with us?
There's already a co-host.
Okay. He might be.
I really apologize. Nigeria, the network.
That's fine, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. So I missed you for the last maybe 30 seconds.
Right. Okay. So what I did was to introduce you, sir, and what we'd like to do now is to give you the floor for your talk for about 40 to 45 minutes.
Okay. Thank you very much. The first thing I want to do, let me see if I can share my screen. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. It's coming up now. We can see the Zoom page.
Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
You can see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Can you read what you are seeing now?
Yes, so exploring high potential business opportunities in Northern Nigeria.
Excellent. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting me to be part of this forum, which I believe is something that is long overdue. especially looking at the situation we are in northern Nigeria in particular. So we need the collective efforts of especially people whom I call the next generation to really come forward and rescue this particular region. I'm saying this with all sense of sincerity and honesty. If we rely on our older generation to deliver this region, perhaps we'll miss it. Because I can tell you today, we don't have many older generation that are truly interested in rescuing this region. So I personally, I really congratulate you for forming this forum and also making all this effort to make sure that we unite and we share ideas and knowledge on how best we can move our region and Nigeria forward in the best way that we can. That's by way of preliminaries. So when I received your topic, which is about unveiling some high potential business opportunities, but you didn't call it that, you call it profitable business opportunities. So when I saw that, I said, that's the typical mindset of a northern. He wants a business to be profitable. He wants to make money, which is very good. But something has to happen before you make that profit. So that's why I feel part, if I can say, the main contribution I can bring to this house today is to say, anybody that goes to business to make profits, he ends up failing in most cases. But when you are in business to explore opportunities, to add value, then you get rewarded, and that reward is called profit. So that's why I decided to alter the topic slightly and call it exploring high potential business opportunities in northern Nigeria. And when you look at the context, you'll see that when we say high potential, so that potential can mean a lot. It's pregnant. It can be growth. It can be profit. It can be impact. It can be anything. So, and that's what I'm trying to do today, is to give you some ideas of not only how to get businesses that will give you the bottom line, but at the same time, to expand your horizon so that you can look at business opportunities more holistically. Am I being heard? Because
yes.
So, oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, so forgive me for altering the topic, but this is just the wisdom behind it. So, ladies and gentlemen, what am I going to talk about? I'm not going to talk about anything in details. I just want to raise some issues so that I can stimulate some conversation, especially with my co-discussants and members, so that from there we can now see where actually those opportunities exist. But before we do that, we need to provide some background. And that's the first thing that I started doing. We are all focused on the North, and everybody knows where we are in the North today is not a very good news. The question I'm going to ask is it a leadership or entrepreneurship challenges? It's very important for you people to keep asking that question, because what I always hear from people is that Nigeria is not going to move forward because we have problem of leadership, which is true. But at the same time, anybody who has visited Bangalore in India, he will tell you that India also has a lot of bad governance. But when Bangalore started developing as an ICT hub, the government didn't even know. It's you guys, the diaspora, the people from within India. These were the people that developed the IT infrastructure and support services. The government only woke up one morning and saw the opportunities and all those infrastructure and support coming up, and the government had no option but to key in. So I still feel part of the conversation today is to say, how are we going to, even though we are not leaders, as entrepreneurs, how are we going to turn things around in our region? So I feel this is a talking point. The second issue is what I also introduced. What is our vision? It's not just you, it's almost everybody, including us, the lecturers. What are we looking for? Everybody's looking for money. What is Nigeria looking for? If Tinubu, Buhari, all these people, we're all looking for money. And where is the money? Niger Delta. You take oil, you sell it, you get dollars, and you do some abracadabra, you turn it to naira. And if you don't have dollars, you go and print money and you just spend. So our vision is short term, which is just what is there, the money. But the issue is, what about value creation? What about turnover? Or is it about profit? So I think also this is one area that we need to have some conversation. Perhaps one of the discussants may help us unravel this. Take one of these multinational corporations, ExxonMobil. Their profit per annum is by far what Nigeria could get by selling oil in 2 years. This is just one company that is simply adding value. And with all our exploration, with everything we can make, because that company, ExxonMobil, is interested in creating value. But in this country, we are not creating value in power, we are not creating value in oil, we are not even creating value in agriculture. Look at the newspapers today, you will see it is, I think yesterday, that the Minister of Agriculture is unveiling a policy that has already been unveiled since last year, but somebody forgot to tell the new minister that there is already a policy on food security. It's just yesterday they were talking about it, a policy that has been around for nearly a year, because many of us, we are not very much interested in value creation. We are more or less looking at how much are we going to get or how much are we going to earn. Then thirdly, my presentation is going to look at some traditional subsectors. When I say subsectors, I mean areas where you can invest. Some of those areas are traditional. We already know them. And there are some that are emerging. They're coming up. You can see them. And some of these emerging are not even too common around us, but they are really making headlines in the investment world. So this, I want to juggle around that. Then in the final analysis, I will share with you some of my limited experience with how Japan tried to explore opportunities. And let's see whether it's something that we can learn from. And then we can now ask ourselves whether we are right now having the right mindset to go and create wealth for ourselves, wealth for our families, and wealth for our communities, our region, and our country. I would like to start, whenever I'm talking to Northerners, I like to go back a long time, 1963, before I was even born. This is a quote from Sir Ahmadu Bello, the first Prime Minister of Northern Nigeria. And I just want you to focus only on the first 4 lines. And this is a statement he was targeting foreign investors. Imagine 1963. Our leaders are focusing on attracting industrialists to come to Northern Nigeria. But what is going to surprise you, he said, a country. So that time, which I'm going to show you a slide that demonstrates that, Northern Nigeria was seen as a country which is politically stable and economically sound. This one thing is always in my mind, and somebody can shed tears if you really deep down find out what this statement actually meant and what the situation we're finding ourselves today. This is just a background, and I just thought there's one point that I need to dwell on. It's not just Nigeria. Most of Africa today, whether you look at it in terms of mining, agriculture, or industries, knowledge is around, knowledge is all over. These days, with a touch of the button, you can get knowledge that can enable you to do things. but still we are having serious issues with deploying knowledge and taking knowledge to where it's going to deliver value. And that's why to transform ourselves from being dependent on natural resources to becoming an economy that is industrialized, whether it is manufacturing or services or knowledge, is still very, very difficult in Africa. There are only few exceptions, but this is a major problem. We have such problem of learning and taking knowledge to where knowledge is supposed to be. And I think the responsibility for bringing that knowledge to our farms, to our shops, to our industries is a dream that is worth championing by all of us. And I'm happy you guys are part of that dream. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in Nigeria, you want to understand some of the dynamics before you even delve into where the opportunities are. And there are many. I just decided to take 4, which I think they are relevant to our conversation today. One is the economic growth, how our economy is growing in general, and vis-a-vis our population growth. And we want to look at state of innovation. For many of you that are up there, you will know that today is either you innovate or you die. Today is a world of innovation. Access to finance, and whether actually knowledge of opportunities resonates in many of us and knowledge of the market. This is what I mean when I said state of the economy. From 2011 up to today, Nigerian economy has not increased by more than 7%. And when you look at it, in most cases, it's below 4%, 2%, and twice below 0. And that's not the issue. The issue is in the next 2 years, Nigerian economy can only grow at less than 3% under the condition we are right now. Forget about that 7.5%, because that's what they call the best case scenario. That's when you take away Nigerians and you replace them with Chinese, then you get that 7.5. But our population growth right now is about 3.3 to 3.4%. And we all know that if your economy is not growing with some points above your population growth, you are likely to have serious issues. And even though this is bad, but the good news is, if your economy is down like this, what does it mean? It means that there are opportunities for growth. There are many societies like where you are. Some of the industries are already saturated. Some of them, they are even nosediving. But here, almost all the industries require some level of growth. And when an industry is growing, that's an opportunity for investment. Number 2, this is what I mean by if you're looking for a situation in this country to be nice in the next 1 or 2 years, I think you're wrong, because the last administration over the last 8 years has taken Nigeria deep into debt. So now Nigeria is facing debt overhang, meaning that 70 to 80% of our revenue is going to be used to be servicing this debt, which we have accumulated mostly in the last 8 years. So you may accuse the present administration for 1 or 2 things, but I can tell you the major damage has been done over the last 8 years. So it's just showing you the country doesn't have money. If you don't have money in a country, it's a problem, because you cannot support hospitals, you cannot support schools, you cannot build roads. But not having money in a country also brings opportunities for entrepreneurs. The question is, where are we going to deliver value so that we can start creating money today? So this is also a double-edged sword. What about innovation? Everywhere you go, they are looking for Africans. Some, they are opening their borders, some willingly, some reluctantly. And in most cases, they are looking for our energy, and they're looking at our resilience and our innovation. But Nigeria as a country is not innovative. We are 114th And look at the countries we are better than. It's really an embarrassing situation that Nigeria is 114th in terms of innovation in the world, with all the PhDs, the professors, the lawyers, the engineers, but we are not really delivering value because many of us are only interested in making quick money, build our houses, get nice cars, get married, and just be happy thereafter. And that's not the way to go. So it means that since we're down, there's an opportunity for us to innovate. Any innovation you bring in Nigeria is money. And I don't care where that innovation is going to come from. Is it going to come from agriculture, from mining, from ICT? Anywhere, as long as it's innovation, you're already in. Ladies and gentlemen, because of some of these reasons, that's why access to finance to a number of you is going to be extremely difficult. Many people will come to me with fantastic ideas, but we're looking for money. I will tell you, you will hardly get any money from any bank, simply because the banks are not interested in your business. They're not interested in innovation. They're only interested in making quick money. And that quick money can only come from a politician with a contract paper or a contractor with such document. Or you have some oil to lift, you will get money today. But somebody to come and set up an oil processing mill, or somebody to come and set up an IT hub, you will hardly get any money. And the statistics are there. Only 5% of businesses in Nigeria have access to finance. So it means the chunk of that money is in that category I mentioned. So if in Nigeria is 5%, ladies and gentlemen, that is, you're not putting Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, everywhere. Then what about Northern Nigeria? What's the percentage of this 5% we're getting? I can tell you, I'm not sure if Northern Nigeria is getting 1 out of this 5%. The question I want you to wonder is why? Why are we not accessing finance? Even the remaining 95%, the chunk of it is not in Northern Nigeria. The question is why? And part of what I want you to start thinking of and probably have another conversation is the dichotomy between conventional banking system or financial system and non-interest system. And when you look at them generally, in my opinion, I can say that there's really not much difference. But that's a conversation for another day. I told you earlier that Sargona of Sokoto consider Northern Nigeria as a country. I look at it, and to me, Northern Nigeria is like this. When I think of Northern Nigeria, this is exactly what I think of. I think of Northern economic cycle from Niger Republic down to Benue State, up to Chad, and when you go there, Benin Republic, and even up to Burkina Faso. When you are in this cycle, you are in what we call the Northern economic cycle. It means that this is your market. This is a friendly market for you. So the only thing that will stop you from exploring this market is the ideas you have in your head. In fact, if you want, you can extend that market to cover the whole country in some value chains. And look at the fastest growing sectors in Nigeria. It's not surprising, transportation, finance, and ICT top the lists. Not surprising, and we're going to show some examples of that. So let's just go back to the reason why you invite me to this house, profit. But before you make profit, in my opinion, there has to be innovation, because innovation will now give you competitive advantage, and then you reverse it. You get competitive advantage, you become innovative. You are innovative, you get profit. But let's start with the profit. I'm sure some of you have read this article by Gada and Gilbert on profit pool map. If you look at any industry, you look at the entire value chain, there's some aspect of that value chain that will simply give you revenue. That's all this will give you, revenue. You will make 200 million but about 180 million is costs. It's only 20% or less that is profit. And there are some areas in that value chain that may not necessarily give you revenue you're looking for, but when you invest 1 million naira, you will end up with about 400,000 or 500,000 as profit. So it's a mindset of an investor. Are you going to go big so that you can get revenue and so that from the revenue you're having, you make profit? Or are you going to go entrepreneurial? You go small, you go niche, so that you focus on those value chains or aspect of value chain that may not necessarily give you the revenue, but it will give you profit. Or you can do both. We'll also talk about that shortly. But the one I like the most is the magic formula for profits. And according to Porter, there are just 3 generic strategies for achieving that. The first thing you need to start thinking of, depending on your market where you're going to focus on, is whether you're going to deliver product cheaper than your competitor. If you're going to deliver that rice, if you're going to deliver that technology, if you're going to deliver that knowledge cheaper than me, then you're going to have cost advantage. And that cost advantage will give you profit. Or you may say, no, I may not necessarily go for low cost. Let me go for differentiation. I'm not going to go to the market that is crowded. Let me come with some creative ideas, bring something new to the market. So where you're going now is innovation. And this differentiation, it's similar to the profit pool. That's where the real money is, because there's what we call early mover advantage. We're going to give some examples. Or you may focus. I don't want to go head on in the market, but I'm going to focus in my local government, or I'm going to focus in my own ethnic group, or I'm going to focus only in serving Nigeria or portion of Nigeria, delivering my product using cost differentiation or leadership. There are many, many businesses around the world that you will never know, but they are doing it. They're doing it well. Some of the airlines, until you go to Europe or Asia, in fact, in some, you even find some of them in Europe, unless by accident. You will see many airlines if you go to Australia and some of those Pacific areas, which you will never heard of. They're simply using that strategy of focus. They are focusing on particular geographical area and delivering their services using either cost leadership or differentiation. And you may have a company like British Airways or Emirates that will now take one of the first two. And this is where I want to explain how profit is being made. And I want to take example of the sector that all of us know, and that's agriculture. I wish this is physical, I will have asked question, but just to save time, somebody who is supplying input, either seeds, fertilizer, or pesticides, he's in the agricultural value chain and he's making money. And there is a farmer who buys the fertilizer, buys the seeds, and go and produce. And there is somebody that collects the product from farmer and delivers some on-farm services. He's also making money. He's also in agricultural value chain. And after those aggregations, there are big traders in the Wano market and elsewhere that are willing to take those produce to the markets, and that market can be local, can be international. He's also making money in agricultural value chain. And there are oil mills, there are rice mills, there are flour mills. They are processing the same agricultural products. They are also making money. When they process, people also become dealers in oil mills, they become dealers in flour mills, they're also making money. There are retailers all over the place. When you go to town, you see people selling all sorts kind of things. They are also making money within the agricultural value chain. And when you come deep to consumption, you're going to find restaurants, fast foods, to deliver food to the house, to the customer. They are also making money. The question you're going to ask yourself, if you're going to go into agriculture, this is where you want to be in. Where is the profit? And where is the revenue? So this is one question that I would want, for example, one of our discussants to really look at, because when you look at it critically, you will see, even from looking at it, you will see some areas where there will be a lot of hard work, but very, very little money. I can tell you, anybody who goes into primary production like me, I'm a farmer, there's not much money there, but it will give you the turnover. You will see at the end of the day, you have done 30 tons, 100 tons, whatever it is. People are congratulating you. Oh, fantastic season, blah, blah. But a guy who is sitting down somewhere that will collect the products from you and put it in his store, he's going to make more money than you by more than 500%. And there is somebody that can add value to it, take you just to Lagos, and he's going to make more money. And there are others that are not interested in selling it to Nigeria. I know of a woman in Kaduna State. She doesn't produce any ginger, but she will uptake most of the gingers or part of the gingers, package them in a certain way, put them in trucks straight to Casablanca in Morocco. And she makes a lot of money. She's not into agriculture, but she's in one of these value chains. So what I'm trying to say is, for every sector, whether it is mining, it's industry, it's ICT, you have to break it into these components. And then you have to undertake some feasibility. Just like I think in the time, there's so many products that we have done some feasibility on, whether it is rice value chain, sesame value chain, tomato value chain. And you remember there was a time Dangote came to Kano and established a tomato processing company, thinking that there is tomato in Kano. And they spent all this money, and now most of this investment now, it's really wasted. Now they have to go back and really invest in the production themselves, because they didn't know that the primary production, the tomato we are having in Kura and all those areas, axles, most of it is water. There is no pests. So they have to invest first in the seeds, in extension, so that they can bring the right quality tomato that they can actually process. So if you're an entrepreneur who has collected money from the bank with interest, and now you establish that tomato, and now you realize that the tomato is not coming, you're already in trouble. So that's why the take home there is, do not go into any business until you have done what we call value chain analysis, whether it is IT. Some young guys came to my office sometimes ago and they made a presentation. They want to go into online banking. Why do they want to go into online banking? Because the people in Lagos are going into that online banking. Then my question to them is, the Lagos people, they're already there. They're already there in the micro, the medium, and now they're going big. If you go in, which aspect of the value chain are you? Because you can't compete with them heads on. So I had to force them to now go and do value chain analysis so that they can see where is the entry point. So that when they go there, they will start building themselves to the level that they can compete with anybody, not only in Nigeria, but around the world. So the take home, ladies and gentlemen, take home, or supposed to be take home too, is profits does not reside in a product. Profit does not reside in a technology. Profit resides in your head. And I want you to take that very, very seriously. You make money with your brain. And not every kind of brain. We're talking about creative thinking. Somebody that will sit down and think of something that is new, novel, or a significant improvement over what we already know. If your mind is thinking this way, then you are likely to make a lot of money. To test this hypothesis, I want you to go to some places like Akija or is it Obasanjo, where they're selling cars in Kano. or some places in Kaduna or Abuja where they're selling cars. Go and see those people who are selling cars. You're going to see 100 people selling the same cars. The moment they bring a car, Mercedes or Volvo, and it's really going, everybody is on his way to Cotonou to buy the same vehicle. And before you know it, the market is saturated and everybody is grounded. And that's what happens in Kano. You go to most of our markets. The moment Mujahid started selling something, I will copy. Another person will copy. Another person. Before you know it, all of us will be down. So you don't make money with copycats. This is it. This creative thinking allows you to see what others overlook. The moment Tariq or Fauzia has done something, she already knows it, she already has that early mover advantage. So the next thing I'm going to look at, what is it that Fauzia is not doing? Or the one she's not doing right, let me fix it. Or let me look at the market that she has already overlooked. That's where the money is. And it gives you confidence to face challenges a lot, because the reason why it's very easy to look at Mujahid's business model and copy is because I don't need to face any challenge. All the challenges are already being faced by him. So all I need to do is to copy, learn, and just replicate. But of course, Mujahid is already there. And I have already missed the opportunity of really being hardworking, perseverance, and risk-taking. If you want to go into any business, the first thing you need to think about is not the money, is what value am I going to bring to the market? What solution am I going to bring to the customer? And that solution is likely when I go there, perhaps the market may not receive it, or the market may receive it. It's likely that when I go in there, I will suffer. It's likely if I go to the market, I will face a lot of resistance, whatever it is. It's even possible that my family will not allow me, will not accept this business idea. All these, the moment you are thinking this, you know, I want to go into this, and these challenges, the risk around it is just too much, it's telling you you're on your path to creative thinking. And do not be afraid to go it alone, because most of the invention you see around you, at some point, they were only in the mind of only one person. And the moment you have that, you're already on the gateway to innovation. And in my opinion, that's where the real profit resides. And this is it. We want to be innovative. And innovation is about long-term thinking. Profit orientation is short-term thinking. In management, the moment a company is in business, and the first thing is to make profit, then we said, you are not there for the long haul. This is short-term thinking. But the moment you're thinking of what solution, what marketing solution, what health solution, whatever solution, long-term, then your brain will start thinking critically. And critical thinking, as you all know, is about questioning the present. You look at the products that we already have and question them. Let me digress a little bit. All my life, I've been teaching Department of Business Administration. The only thing I know is to be in business. When the concept of business school came, it was new. And I can tell you, I lost my best friend. I lost my teachers. I lost my mentors. Because 90% of my colleagues, they don't like anything called business school, because business school is going to change the dynamics. It's questioning what they already know. And I had to suffer this for nearly 5 years. But I can tell you today, the second thing has come, creative thinking. After you get the business school, now you build a new future. And I wish some of you are already in my business school. From my window right now, I cannot count how many cars I'm seeing for our part-time students who are here for their weekend lectures. Now it has become a new deal, not only for us, but for Bayer University Camp. But before you have it, you have to think critically. And that's why I have to appreciate one of our vice chancellors, Rashid, that even said, let's have a model of one of the best business schools in the world. Let's critically think, can we bring this model and modify it to fit Nigerian situation it requires a lot of thinking, a lot of questioning, because it's very difficult to bring American model or UK model and just plant it in Nigeria. Now, you have to do a lot of conversation, a lot of thinking around it. And at the end of the day, whatever business idea you have, that question, why are we doing it this way? Why not this way? Why is it that Fauzia has to do it this way all the time? Why can't we do it this way? When you're challenging the status quo, you're already on the way. And it's not just about challenging for challenging's sake. You're doing it so that you can create something new. And it is that creation that actually delivers the future. So let's go to the practicals. These are some of the studies we have done over the last 7 years in northern Nigeria. And we noticed that even though these are traditional subsectors, but today, with the price of rice at about 50,000 naira per bag, with tomato at some point, one basket sells in Enugu at around 50,000 also. Dairy, don't worry. I mean, we have all these cows, but unfortunately, they can't give you a lot of milk. About 40%, 50% of the milk you drink in Nigeria has to be imported. Soybean, sorghum, wheat, name it. All these products are traditional. We know them, we're used to them, but they have not reached to the level that Nigeria can say we are now self-sufficient in this. Enough to satisfy our industries, enough to satisfy our kitchens, and enough to export. These are still opportunities for, I may not say profits right away because of some of the dynamics in Nigeria, but at least it's an opportunity to go into those businesses. Where some money can be made today very easily is the next one, which is the processing and manufacturing. Can you imagine 90% of the clothes we wear is from Asia? Imagine producing it in Nigeria. Katsina will give you all the cotton you're looking for, but a lot has to be done. But we're just saying there's a tremendous opportunity there. If I have money today, I will leave this business school, I will go into meat processing. And when I process my meat, I'm not going to sell it to the market. I'm going to sell it to the big hotels in Nigeria. Don't tell them outside this forum, but I will tell you, most of the 5-star hotels in Nigeria import their meat. They don't buy meat from Nigeria because of the standard. It's not to their level. So you can imagine processing meat to their standards. You're already in business. Middle East, they're already looking for our meat. But right now, I don't know of any company in Nigeria that is processing Nigerian meat and taking it elsewhere. Light industry leather is very, very interesting. Kano, where I am right now, is where we have 100% of Nigerian tanneries. But all these tanneries, we only export the semi-finished leather. We don't produce high-quality shoes. We don't produce high-quality bags. We don't produce high-quality belts. The ones we produce are the ones produced by the locals, and usually they sell locally. So you really can't touch those profits in the global supply chain. Tremendous opportunities. Food processing, I've already mentioned that. Poultry, sesame, plastic, recycling, amazing. And wood. I don't know of any house in Kano that does not use wood. But where do we get the wood? It's usually from the villages and stuff like that. It was recently somebody took me to his farm, over 800 hectares, and he was producing wood. And some of the wood, his stick, is going to be used for furniture, and others is going to be used for the production of firewood in a modern way. That's business, even though it's long term. And go to the next one. These are still commercial. You have commerce. That's where most of us want to go in. I mean, you're in Kano, Kaduna, Abuja, Wuse area. In the morning, you see people rushing into market. Everybody wants to buy something and sell something. That's where most people, because it's easy. Just go, I know somebody there, he gives me, I put my return, and you're not adding much value. And that's where most of us are. We are shy to go into the actual where the value is being added. Warehousing these days is one business that women I know in Kano, they're really selling their goals and going into. They just look at the time of the harvests and they buy groundnuts, sesame, cowpea, name it, and they will put it at the right time, they will sell and they make. And that's why they're very closely related to the commodity exchange. These are traditional, so we all know them. So what about some of these emerging subsectors? Ganduja was shocked when we delivered a report to him and we told him that the third biggest employer of labor in Kano is actually Kanye Woods. And it's amazing that the size of that industry. And it's amazing the kind of money they're making around there, even though there are some background people that are making most of the money, but it's still an industry that can grow, that we can use IT to really make, to really start churning millions. Security, because of the level we are, some of the richest people I know these days, they're in the business of security. Events, private TV, online, fashion and design, tourism and conversation, e-commerce. These are all areas that are emerging in northern Nigeria. They are not yet the level where we can say they are mature. They are still at the infancy stage. And these are areas where you can easily use knowledge, because most of these areas, somebody without knowledge cannot go into. And that's why I see some of you in most of these areas. Infrastructure is also another, even though this one requires a lot of capital to start. Renewable energy, ICT solution, this one doesn't require much money, but some of the infrastructure, because of the poor infrastructure in the country, you may have to make some investments. Presently working with some people in Lagos, trying to develop some feasibilities of waste management in Kano, and it's amazing what we are finding and the opportunities in that. Mining sector, but not the traditional mining. For somebody that can go to, what's the name of this local government, Sumaila in Kano, and deploy technology, you're already rich in gold. Higher education, consulting, knowledge management, global supply chain, you know better than me. These are areas that house a lot of resources and potential for profit. So this is something that we have juggled around over the last 5 years, and we said for most places in northern Nigeria, if you're looking for high potential subsectors across sectors, you don't want to miss any of these, looking at their attractiveness and their feasibility. RISE is part of it. ICT, especially fintech, it's amazing. You want to go into tourism, especially related to culture and hospitality, amazing. I've already mentioned entertainment is there. Power, renewable energy, medical services. Somebody will say, why medical services? It's simply because up to now, we don't have integrated medical services. People have to go to Dubai and some of these places to get that. Beauty and decoration, that's one place I want to be. Dairy, I already told you the shortage of milk we are having, the security is there. And many of them are there, but the one that I like the most is Islamic microfinance. For anybody who knows any or start doing anything on Islamic products, you're going to be in money. And your justification is to look at some of these, the non-interest banks. They are some of the most profitable banks in Nigeria. In fact, one of them, reaches break even only in about 8 or 9 months after operation. And it's just because you are cashing out of the sentiment of people. And northern Nigeria is one place to be. I'm not going to go there, but if you're really interested in making quick money, put Islamic in anything you're going to do, and you're going to be in cash. So others are there, and I think some of my colleagues can take some of them and really go deep into it. And I want to end by, just, it's not a recommendation per se, but just to note that any business you're going to go into, It's not a function of money. It's not a function of who you know. It's actually a function of knowledge and skills. What knowledge do you have in that business? And what skills do you have in that business? If I leave Kano and I go somewhere in Nigeria, I forget that I'm from business school, because most people think I'm agriculturalist, because I have developed so much knowledge and skills in agricultural value chain to the level that the country had to trust me to lead in the formulation of the current national agricultural policy, which the minister unveiled yesterday, even though it was there since last year. But we have looked at the agricultural value chain, and if that plan which we developed can actually be implemented, Nigeria will be food secure in the next 5 years. That's just a policy. I'm not talking about implementation. Implementation is another thing. Risk taking, I've already mentioned that, so I'm not going to repeat myself. Another area that I want you to really pay attention to is reputation and goodwill. Ladies and gentlemen, these days, people find it difficult to do business with Nigerians. Why? Because of our reputation. And because many of us, we have not have knowledge, skills, and associations to enable us to generate the goodwill. And I think one way to be in business for the long haul is to be known for quality, is to be known for trustworthiness, is to be known for efficiency, to be known for most of these indices that we know in management. If you can, it takes time, and you will see people making quick money, by just swindling people, by just delivering some substandard product. That's all right. Those people are there for the short run. You are there for the long run. So if you can just stick to it and build your reputation and goodwill, you're already in. Ladies and gentlemen, financial literacy is a must. You have to know how to balance your accounts, and you have to know your cost structure, and you have to know your revenue structure. Most of us were from the north. We need financial discipline. You don't need that 100,000 naira shadda. You don't need that 200,000 wristwatch. You certainly don't need that 1 million naira mobile phone if you're growing up. You need to be financially disciplined. You're in a business, you start making money now, you see 10 million naira in your bank account, and now you're rushing to buy a car, you are now rushing to take a second wife. That's not the way to go. You will go down with the business. And that requires cultural change. There's so many things about our culture and predisposition that we need to really change. And that's why I really like, this group, how some of you have really found yourself in many places where you're going to learn so much. And I believe when you come back, you're going to help towards cultural transformation. And cultural change will enable you to be free to think creatively. And when you're free to think by yourself, you are likely to be innovative. And that's the essence. And you'll be productive with patience and with prayer. You will get there. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you very much, Prof. Wow, what an amazing presentation. You've really done justice to the topic. Really, right from the first, I think that correction of that you've made at the beginning, what you've mentioned, that the need to change that mindset, really not to just start thinking of going into business to make profit. I think that's a really pressing issue that all of us would have to think and really reflect and start to drift away from that mentality, but rather, as you've rightly mentioned, think about how do we make value, how do we add value actually, how do we explore opportunities. Usually I tend to go, pick a thing or two, but given the time constraint that we have, I think I'll just move straight on to the second speaker. Hopefully you'll stay till the end of the session while we have our Q&A sessions. We have 3 discussants. Each of them would have about 10 minutes, as mentioned earlier, and then we'll have a Q&A session. I can see a number of people have been trying to raise their hands. It's a very interesting topic. There's definitely going to be quite a number of questions. So if you could just hold on, I know you're very busy. That would be very much appreciated. So thank you very much once again. So I think we'll move straight on to our second speaker today. Our second speaker, I think we'll start from Engineer Sanusi. A brief introduction of Engineer Sanusi. Engineer Sanusi Dantata. He's an up-and-coming serial entrepreneur, and he's the founder and CEO of a number of businesses within the country. He completed his bachelor's and MNG degrees in civil and environmental engineering, both from MIT in the United States, and then later on obtained an MBA from the University of California in Berkeley. Upon his return to the country, he's established a number of companies such as the Asada Contractors Limited and Dantata Properties Limited, Asada Foods, and many others. Earlier in his career, he has ventured into several other businesses, include co-founder of Grassroots Microfinance Bank, founder of Lentercast Nigeria Limited, a transport and logistic company, and also founder of Asada Small Scale Industrial Layout, which was a venture that enabled more than 130 small-scale businesses to set up as well as operate more profitably. Now, he has a wealth of experience working within the family's construction or his family's construction company, which is an Dantata and Sao Construction Company, Nigeria Limited, and has overseen a number of projects worth over hundreds of billion naira. And he has also won several awards, both nationally and internationally, such as the Archbishop Desmond Tutu Leadership Fellowship as one of the 20 most promising young leaders in Africa, the Tucker Voss Award for Best Student in Building Construction at MIT, and the Danes Fellowship and D.K. Kim Fellowship for Academic Excellence in UC Berkeley, and as well as many others. Engineer, thank you also for spending our time. You've had Prof's talks. Prof talked about a number of important issues. As I've mentioned earlier, the need for us to really drift away from that mentality, the kind of really key set of skills, set of requirements that's required in order for one to go into business. Especially what you mentioned about, I think, that critical analysis of the value chain. I'm sure you have quite a lot of, a lot more to add on to that, or to digress on some of what Prof has already said. So I'll give you about 10 minutes for your talk. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share my experience in this forum.
We cannot see you, Engineer.
Okay, let me see if I can get my video on. Am I visible?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm in one of my project sites, in a container. So that's why I'm here as an engineer, but I'm also a farmer. But yeah. So thank you very much, Professor Sagagi, for such a wonderful keynote speech. And I would echo what Tariq said, that it has really put the whole subject in context with so many points, and many of which I agree with. Some I have different opinions on, but I would not be able to capture everything that I have taken note of. But I'll try to pick on one or two things, to add, especially from my own experience or from my own family's experience. I don't need to say much about myself. I think Tariq has already given a brief of my background, but by profession, I'm a civil engineer. I'm into construction. I have worked with Dantata and Sao. That's where I got my training. And I decided to leave the family business because at the end of the day, I think everybody would want to build their own legacy, and not just to live on the legacy of one's parents or grandparents. If my father had continued working for his father, or if his father has continued working for his own father, then they wouldn't have established all the newer companies that they have established. So I felt like it was time for me. I've done my service to my father, and it was time. And with his blessing, I started my own businesses. So that said, I currently am busy with two things, the construction and also agriculture. Agriculture, I don't have any educational background in agriculture, but I have started, I took the leap, I took the risk, and I think this is an area where there is the opportunities are endless, and I'm glad that Professor Sagagi, is also into the field of agriculture, and he understands very well, all the difficulties. It's not an easy field. I'm learning, and it's the opportunities are endless, and I am happy that the professor was talking about the sort of the value chain analysis, and just to something that came to my mind, that when he was talking about the farmer normally is not the one who makes the most money, that is the primary farmer, but mostly people down the value chain, they make more money. Currently, I'm a farmer, but I'm also sort of playing in the entire value chain. So for example, I produce eggs, but I also sell them. I have a retail outlet. I have also wholesale part of it, but we try not to even actually do the wholesale because we realize that the wholesale business is not sustainable if you are trying to really maximize the value in the egg business. I can go into that if people have more specific questions on that. But just one thing that came to my mind is that the story of my great grandfather Alasan Dantata. You see, Alasan Dantata was known as the biggest aggregator of groundnuts in his time, and so he wasn't a farmer. He didn't grow all these famous groundnut pyramids that we know of. He was the biggest of the dealers of that, but he was not even a farmer. He didn't grow the groundnuts. He would go send his agents to the farmers. They would aggregate, they would buy, and they would bring into Kano, and then sort of sell to the international market, and that's how he was able to make his fortune. Really, just basically taking the sort of like aggregation and marketing and selling of the groundnuts and other things as well. So yes, Professor is very right that if you are looking for any opportunity, you can look at the entire value chain and you can find where you can add value, where you are able to win, if you will, because not everybody can be a good farmer. Because to be a farmer, I think you need to have a lot of patience. You need to have a lot of patience. You need to have a lot of you need to have some capital. You also need to have I think luck, because you can do everything. You can plant your rice, you can plant your tomatoes, but some disease or just some input that you're supposed to put at a certain time, you may miss that, and then it becomes like a waste. So there's a lot of potential for waste from the farming side. However, when you go a step further, sort of like the aggregation, like buying from the farmers, transportation of agricultural products, storage of agricultural products, processing of agricultural products, the more you go further down the value chain, the less risk you have, and then also the more potential for profit that you have. So definitely from my own side, from Asada Foods, we're also looking at ways to go a step further than just the primary production of eggs and of chicken, for example, but we want to also add value, process them, and be able to sell directly to higher value customers. What else? Another thing that I would want us to people to look at is that, yes, we keep talking about innovation. Yes, innovation is good, and if you can find something to innovate, on any business, you would likely be able to, solve a problem and make money. But at the same time, as Professor said in his last slide, this issue of reputation and goodwill. Sometimes you don't need to innovate in any business. Like I'm doing X, there's no innovation that I brought into producing the X and selling them. This has been happening even before I was born, or even in construction that I'm doing. I'm not, producing, different types of concrete or, different types of blocks. I could do that, but the market here in Nigeria cannot afford, sort of like higher cost, materials that are innovative in that sense. What we need is to have people with reputation and goodwill, people who can just do what they said they are going to do. This is lacking, unfortunately, in this part of the world. So if you can be able to basically do what you say you are going to do, if somebody orders 100X from me, if I would be able to deliver to them at the time and at the place, or if I sign a contract to build a house for somebody, if I am able to just do that, I think that is in quotes innovation in itself, because it's really very, very rare to find people delivering on their promises. So traditional businesses like like producing eggs from my side, or construction or anything, you can basically just try to leverage on the opportunities that you have in front of you and just do what you have to do. So I think, I don't know how I'm doing with time, but these are some of the things that I have picked on from Professor's talk, and I would be happy to answer any questions or to continue with the discussion.
Thank you very much, Engineer. Thank you very much for reiterating some of what Prof said, and also from talking as far your experience. One key thing that I've noted in your discussion is you did mention risk. Obviously, definitely there's need for someone to you can't just sit there and just think you're just going to start business. You just have to be willing to take that risk, and that Prof has also mentioned. So thank you very much. Definitely, I know there would be questions. If you could hold on, I think that would be very much appreciated as well. And once again, we appreciate you sparing your time. As you've said, you're now in a container on site, but given your willingness to contribute, you've spared time to be with us today. So thank you very much. Next, I think I'll call on our next speaker in person of Honorable Lawal Yakubu Gada. Honorable Lawal is a certified business development consultant with over 2 decades of experience in financial sector, ranging from his work with the Bank of Industry to the Bureau of Public Enterprise, Minorities Economic Development Associate, and the former chairman, Sokoto State House of Assembly Committee on Finance and Appropriation. Currently, he works as a certified business development consultant. So again, thank you for honoring this invitation, Honorable. We've also heard what Prof and Engineer talked about. I'm sure you have 1 or 2 things to either reiterate or do something totally different from your own expertise and knowledge. So I'll also give you about 10 minutes for your talk, please. And then definitely I'll know there would be some questions after that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tariq. And I want to start by appreciating the effort of the Arewa Mentorship Group, who really used their foresight to start this enlightenment program or series for the benefit of the youth and the Arewa in general. Like you said, I'll just make a slight changes to my own topic of discussion. I want to say, how do we identify and engage in sustainable business ventures? How do we identify and engage in sustainable business ventures? I want to start by making a few introduction and also try to highlight what are strategies, what is profit, and of course, what are business opportunities. I will try in my presentation to highlight what are business ventures or the categories of business ventures, as well as the major sectors of business ventures that one can undertake. Then I'll come down now to highlight those strategies that will ensure sustainability of business, as well as the factors that will affect them. Now, number one, as an introduction, I created one of a series of our Arewa awareness series in which I highlighted the situation in the north, that Arewa, as it is called, is left behind in all ramifications. This is a non-knowledge to anyone participating in this platform. I mentioned that the Nigerian economy as of March 2023, that is immediately after those elections, it stands about 50 trillion naira, which is made up of 28 for stock exchange markets, which is the Nigerian stock exchange, and 22 for bond market. If you add, you get 50 trillion. I say out of that 50 trillion, the North does not control 10% of that, except if you add Dangote and Boa, whose investment are mostly in the South. So now, as a strategy or as an explanation on how we can identify profitable business ventures, a strategy is plan of actions. What are those plan of action? What are those steps that one need to take to be able to identify business ventures? First of all, we need to observe the trends, the market trends. What are those market trends in the area one want to undertake business ventures? Before you undertake on any business venture, you have to think of what are my areas of interest, because every one of us has areas of competitive advantage. Somebody that has been a graduate, he has now knowledge, higher knowledge, to venture into areas that he must have developed interest over the years. So as a first step or as a first strategy, how to identify a business venture, you have to observe the market trends. But remember, before I mention the market trend, those categories of businesses, we have 5 categories of businesses. We have the micro businesses, we have the small, medium, large scale, and of course, mega scale categories of businesses. But I believe more than 90% of people listening to me or to this program belongs to the first 3, either micro, small, or medium scale enterprises or businesses. So therefore, in these categories, you know, each business has its own peculiarities. Each business has its own factors that can make it to be profitable. Like the Prof has mentioned, that you don't start to think of profit. You start to think of value addition and sustainability. Studies have shown that over 90% of businesses died in the first year of registration. That means only about 10% survive the first year of registration. Many died after the first year. Only about 5% survived for 5 years. So I'm happy to say that my company, Grenado International, was incorporated in 2006, and today is about 18 years, which means there are measures that make businesses or entrepreneurs try to be sustainable. Now, for you to know apart from consultancy, I am also a project developer in renewable energy, because I was the pioneer renewable energy manager at the Bank of Industry in the project initiated by the UNDP and partnered with BOI. So let me come back to how do we identify profitable or sustainable business ventures. I say one need to observe the market trends. What are the market trends? In other words, it's a kind of market survey you need to do. You need to observe the demand and supply side. Many people just look at the supply side, that is where the goods or services originate, without examining the demand. So sometimes you see we have glut in the market because there is no survey in the demand side, and you went and produced product or service and there is no demand. So first of all, we need to observe the market trend. Then secondly, another strategy by which you can identify business ventures that can be sustainable is to adopt the Igbo strategy of internship. You know, Igbos, they have what they call internship. You see a young man will come to an established business venture. He will be running errands for that business venture, learning over there. Sometimes it could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Within those years, you are studying the profitability and sustainability of business. So after some years, they graduate them, they give them little capital, and they went and established their own business ventures. That ensures sustainability. But you see it at times now, people will just look at particular business and decide to venture into it without studying it, without mastering it. Then thirdly, third strategy that we can deploy to identify sustainable business venture is by mentoring. Mentoring, you look at somebody that has been sustainable in a particular business you want to go into. For example, everyone knows Dangote has been sustainable in cement, in foodstuff, and what have you. So if you are thinking, but those ones are large scale, let's come down to medium scale. For example, we all know that maybe in the rice milling now, Umza and Arewa have been sustainable in their business venture, or Pursa rice mill. So you can go there and see how they are doing it, learn maybe 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year. Then before you start to roll out your own business venture. So mentoring or internship is another way you can identify sustainability or the profitability of a business, you know. Now, there are factors that affect sustainability and profitability of those businesses. Number one, management. You have to identify your management skill. Are you able to manage a business? Many businesses are family businesses, but I can hear from Dantata, he said he now set out himself to chart his own course. But I conducted a study in 2016 on why businesses fell in Sokoto State. And I found that 60% of the business, particularly the manufacturing sector, they die because it's family business. When the father becomes incapacitated, late, or sick, the children doesn't have the managerial capacity. So management is one yardstick to identify business ventures that can be profitable. Because even if you go into an area, in a nutshell, all businesses has potentialities of being profitable. We should know that all businesses, if managed well, with all the best practices of business, then they have the tendency to be profitable. That is one, managerial capacity. Then team building. Many people tend to undertake business. Of course, we have micro scale businesses whereby it is just one person or two, that are running businesses. But as business grows, you need to build a sustainable team that share your vision and teams that really key into your own goals. Now, the third factor that can ensure business is sustainable is financial management. Many of us, particularly in the North, we does not differentiate between business and our personal self. We make money from business and put it in our pocket and spend. We doesn't differentiate, we doesn't keep record of our business. So record keeping is one thing that we are lacking in the North. From my 8 years of business development services, we find that we don't keep record. So if you don't keep record, you will not, your business will not be sustainable and you will not be seeing the profit. Then furthermore, another area, that financial literacy that Prof have mentioned, it is very, very important. Before you venture into a business, you need to have some basic knowledge of financial literacy, best areas to invest. Thank God this kind of series of enlightenment is one area that is helping that. Now, let me now give us some businesses that has potential of profitability and sustainability. One major area today that has potential for sustainability and profitability is the ICT, the information communication technology, the fintech, the e-commerce, the e-businesses, the what do you call it? The artificial intelligence, and many other ICT ventures. You know, that sector has been identified to record geometrical growth in terms of income, because most businesses that rely only on physical presence, they have limited scope. But today, people that are running e-commerce, you will be in Kano or Sokoto or Maiduguri, and you order goods from Lagos and even America. Just day before yesterday, I ordered for good from America, and I just received a message that it has arrived Nigeria. And yesterday too, I bought goods from Lagos and they were delivered to me in Abuja. You see that piece, online presence make one to reach customers that ordinarily with physical presence, you cannot reach out to. So ICT business is one area that has great potentials and it can record geometric growth. Second area is the agribusiness. You see, now the demand for agricultural goods and services is increasing. This brings me to the question the Prof asked about which area of the value chain. Now, in the agricultural value chain, the best profitable point of the value chain is the aggregation. The aggregation now, you see that if you are a graduate, maybe you don't have the physical strength or you don't have the time to go into farming, but you can aggregate.
Right. I think Honorable might be having some technical issues.
Aggregate those farmers. So aggregation is, pardon? Yes.
Sorry,
so
we lost
I'm
you
saying
for a second, and also we're running out of time. I know it's very, very interesting, your talk. Maybe if you could conclude in, I don't know, maybe 2-3 minutes, that would be really helpful.
That's great. So I'm mentioning the profitable ventures that one can go into. I mentioned number one, the ICT now, fintech, web designs, and digital economy. That sector is maturing, is growing tremendously. Now, production, agribusiness, milling now, rice milling, wheat milling, all the agricultural value chain are in higher demand because the gap in Nigeria is so high that we cannot fill the gap, we cannot satisfy the gap. The third area that has a great potential is what I'm doing is the renewable energy. We have the energy gap. Look around you. What are those things that are lacking? Anything that is lacking is a business opportunity. Now we have shortage of supply of electricity. Renewable energy, particularly solar and wind, as well as biomass, is another area that has great potential. Of course, we have the commerce, trade, sell and buy. But those ones now, like I say, you have to observe the trade, both the supply and demand side. So commerce is another area that one can venture into and make profits. Basically, like I said, all businesses has potential for making profit. Then finally, we have what we call the blue ocean strategy. Blue ocean strategy is a strategy where you identify unique area where others has not ventured into. That you create a niche. Before people discover that area, you have already made enough profit and you can now diversify. That's what Dangote has been doing. He identified areas that people like a refinery he's doing now. Nobody private has done it before. So even at smaller scale, you can look at some business ventures that people have not ventured before. Then you venture there, you start. Of course, we should know that every business has risk, and you should be able, part of business experience is to be able to take calculated risk. You take calculated risks, and with time, you make profit, you create value. By creating value and value addition, you make profit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And sorry for stopping you there earlier. Just to pick up on two things that you've mentioned, all the things that you've mentioned are, of course, very much important, but two things that I want to pick up, it's internship you've mentioned, internship, as well as mentorship. I think this is very, very important. And what this is one of the things that we're trying to do within the Arewa Mentorship Program to make sure that, we try to equip our youth with the right skills, really. And what we found out a lot of time is that lack of information. And so what we're trying to do is kind of link, our mentors with our mentees. As you've mentioned, there's need for people to identify prospective mentors. And one of the things that we're doing is to make sure that we form that kind of link. So we try to bridge that gap between those that need those mentorship and those that have the skills in order to provide that mentorship. You've talked about a number of skills. We've had a session, I think about a month or 2 months ago, about the need for skills. You've mentioned some key skills that need to be, one needs to really hone: managerial, team building, financial literacy, some of what Prof have already mentioned, record keeping, and also talked about a number of opportunities, renewable energy. Obviously, there's definitely need, there's quite a lot of gap in that. Agriculture, as you've mentioned, fintech, some of what has already been mentioned. So thank you very much again for sparing time to give us this talk. Hopefully you would also be here at the end when we'll get some questions from our participants. So finally, we have our final discussants today in person of Dr. Lawal Aminu Bala, and Dr. He does work with MSMEs and is an investment development and development financial sector expert, and he has over a decade experience. Currently, he's an entrepreneur and he's the founder, registrar of the Nigeria Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Doctor did mention he's not feeling fine, so I'll give you about 5 to 10 minutes. We're running out of time, Doctor. If you can just, give your talk within this time, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for the opportunity. Thank you, Arewa, for the opportunity given to our young people to share what is needed, a daring need of entrepreneurial skills and mindset changing. I have heard, though I joined lately, but I heard what the professors said regarding how one can navigate our environment and come up with a viable business opportunity needed to move the northern Nigeria and the economy greatly. So what I have is just some points I mentioned. If you don't mind, I would like to share my screen to briefly talk about, identify some key issues I have in mind. But before then, let's look at this story. Yeah. Okay, let's look at this story. This is about a company that is into a shoemaking project. The company sent two of their reps to sell their shoes in a particular identified village. So on going to the village, they discovered that the people in the community, they don't wear shoe. So the first sales rep said, call the officer and the manager at the head office and tell them, look, I'm coming back. We made a mistake. These people, they don't wear shoe. So we made a mistake. I'm coming back to the office immediately because he cannot see opportunity there. But the second sales rep, on realizing that the people are not wearing shoe, she called the boss, said, please call boss. These people do not wear shoes. And could you send many more shoes because I want to sell this shoe to them. So why I bring in this a kind of background as to what is important when one in trying to navigate an environment to come up with the business opportunities is, of course, to see there is a divergent mindset from the intending entrepreneur who wanted to venture into a business. If what one can see as an opportunity may not necessarily be same as what one can see as an opportunity. But from the story given, we can realize that the two reps of the company's sell sent to sell a pair of shoes to a village. In the village, people are not wearing shoes. The first person could not see the opportunity of convincing them, could not see the opportunity of educating them the importance of using shoes and extent at which they can market his products, and by discovering a fresh new market. Well, the second sales rep discover that no, this is a very good outlet that lead us to discover a new market. And by discovering a new market, it means that there is a budget market where people don't wear shoe, and we should come up with a strategy of promoting the same products to them so that they can buy those products. So I give this for us to abreast ourselves to know that there is no one fit all situation where what one can see as an opportunity may not necessarily be same as what other people could see as opportunity. So what bring about business opportunity? And first of all, say, okay, yes, for you to know how to come up with the business opportunity, it all depends on persona and the passion of an intending entrepreneur. What are your personality? What types of person are you? You have to know thyself. As Socrates says, you know thyself. Knowing yourself will enable you to know what types of business are you passionate about. What types of person are you? Do you like to work physically? Knowing oneself, it tells one what types of business idea will match his own personality and will make them to endure and grow a viable and sustainable business there. Many people selected businesses that are not in tandem with their persona. At the end of the day, even if the business is tend to be a promising business, they end up not gaining the benefit from that business. And secondly, another factor that bring about a business opportunity is, of course, the poor delivery of services and products. Not necessarily that innovation is very key, as Peter says, whether you innovate a new product or discover a new market or discover a new means of source of raw materials. But however, it is important for one to X-ray the complaints of customers. What customers are saying about a particular service is given to them or about a particular product. If people are complaining about the way they are being receiving a services or they are utilizing a particular product, it means there is a problem, and that means a solution needs to be prospered or need to be provided to that. Then another factor is overpricing of products and services. You can see a product that is highly being demanded or a service that is highly being demanded, but the cost of that services or the cost of that product will make a lot of prospective markets prospective demands, prospective customers to avoid those products. So it means if you can offer an outrightly and affordable prices to that product, it means you already discover a good market to go. Then of course, you cannot run away with the technology. To what extent that the competitors adopt a technology, you may have a very good technology that can give you a very good finishing. At the end of the day, that can be a breakthrough for you. If we talk about garment making industry, somebody will wonder how a Chinese man are coming to Nigeria trying to produce scarf. The Zandabukar scarf now, Chinese are now trying to imitate and then overload our market with their own product. What are they doing is that they are reading our psychology. They are reading our psychology and saying that, look, we can bring about something that these people are looking. So it's like, it is important for us to know how do we bring about a product that can match with the taste and aspirations of the market. And by so doing, one can leverage on the technology to do that. Then on discovering new market, one, it should take into cognizance of establishment of new campuses, new estates, and new offices. Whenever there is a new campuses, it means people are coming from a different location and are coming to a entirely new location. And coming to that, there are so many demands attached to the survival in that particular new location. It means that particular area would come up with a lot of opportunities. See how the springing of our new campuses, like new universities, new colleges of education, new government agencies, all sorts of that bring about a fresh need for the people that are going to live in that area. Then another issue, we cannot run away from the looking at the social attitude, taste, fashion, and desire of the people. Nigerians are people who love to spend a lot of money on the products that are said to be produced from other countries. Why? Because we have the mentality of inferiority complex of whatever being produced in our country are not superior. So why not taking advantage of our psychology and produce the goods and services to the international standard, so that Nigerian can see that, okay, these products match their own disposition, match their own needs, and we can easily penetrate. Then it is important, of course, when you are rallying out for business opportunity, to look at the government regulatory regimes. You look at the government policies, economic policies, realities, and dynamics that bring about a lot of opportunities. We know several times Nigerians do ban importation of meat, frozen fish, and a lot of other systems that we have competitive advantage in Nigeria. So that means by taking into cognizance of those government policies and regulatory regimes or restrictions, it means it's often up for the local entrepreneurs to come up within those value chains in which the government places its own restrictions or pointing out its own economic policy. Quickly, I would like to point out that for you to succeed as an entrepreneur, there are 3 E, which are very critical and very vital for an aspiring entrepreneur. One, you have to know yourself as an entrepreneur. You have to look at the socio-economic profile, your background, your interests, your preference, and your resources and skills. If you fall short of this, likely you cannot succeed, even if you identify a business idea that it tends to be a promising, because you lack the personal ingredients needed to drive those ideas into a profitable venture. And secondly, all businesses are not existing in vacuum. Business exists on environment, and all our environmental factors can make or can mar a good business idea. So whenever you are intending to go into business as an intending entrepreneur, you have to take into cognizance of the environment. Let's look at the environment. What are our peculiarities as a northern Nigeria? What do we have as peculiar to us? What are the infrastructure facilities? What are social cultural factors that may make you or mar your enterprises? And to what extent can you take into account of resources? Many of the northern Nigerians that go into business, especially people that are going into production, they make a very great mistakes. They are avoiding resources that we have comparative competitive advantage in northern Nigeria, and looking at those resources, those businesses in the southern Nigeria, which we don't have comparative advantage. You can see a northerner saying that you want to establish a palm oil project in Kano or in Katsina? Where are the raw materials? Why not providing edible oil from soya beans, from sesame seed, and whatever? Or why not planting a castor seed? You grow a castor seed and you bring about an alternative to the imported edible oil that we are all rallying out in consumption. So these issues are very critical for one that intended to go. And finally, you have to look at what types of businesses you are intending to go. Is it production? Is it processing? Is it types? What are the implications of technology to that? Do you have availability of human resources to drive that? What about the finances? And on final note, I know many young people in northern Nigeria find it extremely difficult to grow businesses because we are always believing our own self. We don't want to engage in what we call investment club, to partner with other people that will bring value, either will bring in network or expertise in growing the business opportunities we have identified. So the idea of going solo is actually one of the major factors that affects our success as an entrepreneurs in northern Nigeria. We have to appreciate building a network and grow a business within the ambit of platform of network and social investment scheme. So at this rest my case, and that is what I put as soon as I can share. Thank you, Dr.
Yes, wonderful. Wonderful. I think that was amazing as well. Thank you very much. I think we're way out of time. So without taking any time, I think I'll just dive straight into the Q&A session. So remember, you can use the chat box to type in your question. You can alternatively use the raise hand option to ask your question. So I think we'll open the Q&A session now. Let's have a look. Okay. Mustafa Saidu, can you unmute yourself? Well, we've lost you there. What about Mahi Abdurrahman? Please, if you could be very much straightforward to your question, given that we're way out of time, I think that would be really helpful. Just ask your question if maybe your question is addressed to one particular discussant or Prof. Just mention that and go straight to your question, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. My question is directly to Dr. Dantata about he's an engineer in construction. What advices is he given to young engineers that won't dive in construction business? Thank you, Mahab.
Thank you very much. I think we'll pick a few. So the first question is to engineer about suggestions, right? Okay, so let's have a look. Thank you, Mahi. Abubakar Abdullahi.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, please, my question goes to Honorable.
Okay.
He talked about blue ocean strategy, which he implied that we can look for an opportunity for area that have more opportunity where people are not utilizing that opportunity. But for somebody that have an idea and have the knowledge and skills to apply that kind of strategy, but doesn't have the funding to do so, can he suggest a means by which he can get a funding?
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. What about Abubakar Ahmed?
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for the session. My first question goes to Prof. I actually missed some part when he was talking about critical thinking. So I want some kind of real examples of how a person can actually do critical thinking and also analyze the value chain. Then my second question is more of general question. I'm asking about the future prospects of a distribution business or an intermediary business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right. Engineer, are you close?
Yes, I am, but can you kindly repeat the question that...
So it's asking about suggestions that you have for other engineers as well in terms of business.
Well, I think, the first thing you need to do as an engineer is to understand that there is a difference between knowledge and experience. You might have gone to school, you might have studied, you might have come out with a first class, but you don't have any experience. When I finished my schooling with my master's in structural engineering, what my father told me was that, because I asked my father, I said, look, okay, what can I do, because he never, even though he had a construction company, but he never actually influenced my decision to study civil engineering. As a matter of fact, many of my siblings did not go into that field. And he didn't expect that just because I studied civil engineering that I must come and work for him. He would have been happy with whatever decision that I took. But I asked him, and he said, look, let me work with Dantata and Sao for even if it is like 5 years, just for two things. He said, number one is to gain experience. Number two, to build a small capital, and then I can do whatever it is that I want to do. So for any engineer that is out there, I would tell them, first of all, like, do not underestimate the value of the experience that you get. Don't look at the starting salary that you are getting. Look at the right place to get the right experience, because when I look at CVs, if I'm employing people, I don't even go to the education first. The first thing I do is I look at the experience, right? Like, what have you done? What kind of projects have you worked on? And so the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, just look at it as a continuation of your studies, because it's from that 5th year and above that you begin to be able to take decisions independently. You might have seen a lot of issues, and you can be able to solve problems. So that's the key advice that I would give to young engineers, is that, look, you need to value your experience. You need to get experience, and then you can be able to market yourself.
Well, wonderful advice, that is. Thank you very much. The second question was to Honorable. He did inquire about funding. What suggestion do you have for funding? Honorable, are you close?
Yes, yes, please. I hope, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can.
Good. Generally, there are 4 sources of funding for entrepreneurs. But as he mentioned, if it is a startup, there are basically 3 sources that one can obtain money from, because for startups, commercial bank don't finance startups. But the first point of call for a business that is new, like he said, he wants to venture into blue ocean, which is an area that is practically new. The first point of call is the angel investors. These are family, friends, and well-wishers. If you cannot have somebody that can put in some seed money into your business, then look into yourself. You need to improve your relationship with people. There are supposed to be some people that you can talk to, convince them that, look, I want to do XYZ business, but I don't have enough money. So maybe if Mr. A give you 30%, Mr. B give you 10%, Mr. C give you 40%, you see that you make about 70%. Then with time, that is for angel investors. Then we have grants. There are so many sources of funding now that are obtained for businesses that try to impact on humanity. So that could be another session maybe for this mentorship program, where we can highlight different sources of grant for entrepreneurs. There are so many. Just yesterday, I submitted one application for a grant of $150,000. If you get such kind of grants, you will be able to really, even the project we handle with Bank of Industry, we gave grants that time in 2012, 2013. So those are businesses, and those people we gave grant today, they have gone far. So in other words, grant is the second source of fund. And thirdly is partnership. You may not do it alone. Like Dr. Lawal has mentioned, most businesses in the North, we want to do alone. It's not the best. When you join strength with others, maybe you just have a small capital, then somebody has enough more than you. You partner with them, give them some equity. Basically, every project is financed by either debt or equity. So if somebody cannot give you loan, let him take equity into that business. Say, give him 10%. Say, how do you buy my 10% in my business? Then we partner. By the time the business grows, you pay him up. If he wants to continue, there's usually an agreement of what do you call it? Doctrine of first refusal, right of first refusal. If somebody join business venture with you, if you want to sell share, he will be the one to take up. So if somebody do partnership with you, he invests his money into your business. If you or him want to sell, you or him will be the first contact before you sell it to somebody else. So the third point is partnership. Last but not the least is a loan. Usually loan goes for mature businesses, going concern, business that have been making profit. Banks will not give you money except maybe development banks like BOI, Development Bank of Nigeria, AFD, Islamic Bank. Those are development banks. You can see they can have some grants and they can finance startup. So these are the different sources of funding for your blue ocean. You can approach family, friends, and all wishers. Who knows you better? Who doesn't ask for collateral from you? Otherwise, anywhere you go looking for money, they will ask, what do you want to secure those money from? Without collateral, you cannot get a commercial loan. Therefore, if you are just starting, the best point of call is those angel investor, a grant or partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful answer. There were a number of comments about the recordings. Those would be posted on the social media platforms, specifically YouTube. I've also, for that, I've already pasted links. I've also just done that now, so you can follow those, and you should have access to the recordings, inshallah. Then there was a question to you, Prof, about critical thinking.
Thank you very much. I think my question is very easy. Critical thinking is nothing but just asking questions. That's all. Whatever somebody tells you, ask why. Why not? Whatever somebody tells you you can't do something, ask why not. Wherever you see a product, a technology, a market, ask this question. Just why? Just that simple why is the critical thinking. And just give you, I think I like the response of Sanusi Dantata, where he mentioned his experience in construction. But the only one thing I want to add is innovation is not simply about coming with something entirely new. In the construction business, we know now the cost of building materials is very high, and many people could not afford it. So an innovation is you use your experience as an engineer, you use your experience as somebody who knows the business to say, okay, what am I going to mix to make sure that I bring the same kind of quality material but at a lower cost? So when you do that, also it's an innovation. You're bringing additional value. And you get that by critical thinking, by just saying, why must it be bricks all the time? Why must it be concrete all the time? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we'll pick maybe a few more questions. Salisu Borodo, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. So I have a very simple questions. You've given us ideas on how to go about generate opportunities. How do you thoughtfully evaluate them for profitability so that you don't end up in the 90% that die in the first year of their operation? Thank you very much.
So if I understand your question correctly, how do you evaluate to make sure that these
opportunities?
Right. Okay. So and this is do you have a specific person that wants to answer your question, or is it open to everyone?
It's open to everyone.
Right. Okay. So maybe I'll call on Dr. Lawal to answer this question. Maybe we'll pick a few more. Babangida Muhammad, can you unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Okay. Thank you, Doctor, for the opportunity to answer this question. Certainly, whenever you identify a particular business opportunity, one need to do extra effort. One of the extra effort is to place the idea often what we call a smart idea. Let the idea be a kind of specific idea. You really know what exactly you want to venture into. It's not that an idea that have an 1, 2nd, and 3rd other options that you intended to pursue. And that idea, besides being a specific idea, and the idea should be, well trying to implement the idea, you should have a measurable term. The figure, the investment to be made, it should be measurable. Measurement in terms of how much do you require, in terms of human resources, the financial resources to commit to the idea. And then, and third, the measure can also take cognizance of the market. Who exactly am I targeting? Is it for all? You have to do critically what we call a market segmentation to really know the number of the market you have. What are the target market? How many are they? What is their purchasing power? How often do they buy the product? To what extent do they demand that particular product? So these questions that you keep on asking about the market will furnish you with very good information that will gauge the possibility or viability of the project. And mark you, to an extent, after doing all that, for one to know whether the project will be viable, it is important for one to have a prototype. You have to develop a prototype. A prototype is more or less a mini view of a particular product or a services that you want to venture into. That is why prototyping has been one of the major drivers to architectural profession. You can see an architect just design a mini drawing, a mini prototype of a particular project, and that project is being scaled through. You can see it being developed physically. So it's good for you to develop a prototype and be asking questions. Those that access the services or test the product, seek for feedback. Seek for feedback. And that will give you enough information to know whether the really market have accepted the product or not. And then on a final note, you have to take into cognizance of the competitors who are there in the market before you. What do they do? What percentage, what share of the market are they serving? How do you penetrate and carve a niche and create a portion, take a portion of the market? So in knowing the feasibility or viability of a particular idea, one needs to do what you call a feasibility study. And even before going into feasibility study, to me, there are 3 steps. You have to have a mini business plan, what we call a business profile, a less than 10-page where you outline the requirements of the project in terms of finance, equipment, market, and whatever. You explain yourself. Then you migrate from mini profile to what we call a business plan, where you have all the elements of business planning. You plan the idea, you craft your vision, the mission, the objectives, and what have you. You have your own plan there. You know how much you require. And then when going into full blank implementation, then you carry out the feasibility study. This is rigor. You have to go into the field and know exactly the view, aspiration, desire, and the expectations of the market before final implementation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we're heading.
I want to add. Hello.
Yes, please. Okay, you can go ahead, please. I was going to say, unfortunately, we're out of time. But given that you want to add something, definitely you can
yes,
do
I
that,
just
please.
want to add the summary of all what Dr. Lawal has mentioned. That can be contained in a feasibility study. And that is the work of business development consultant like us. In 2013, BOI realized that the North in particular has been left behind in assessing loan from the bank. So they look at what was the problem. There are some people doing businesses, but they are not assessing facility. They now see that it's because they don't know how to package bankable business plans, feasibility study for startup, and business plan for expansion. So that is the work we do. Sometimes you need to consult the experts to guide those information for you, to do the necessary due diligence for you. You know, that lack of knowledge is what is making most businesses to die. You need to take up the knowledge from those who have known it. I have done over 100 business plans. Many of them have succeeded. Therefore, you need to consult the expert. That is why now we are nationally certified business development consultant to assist people. And that's why we're sharing our experience with mentees like anyone on this platform that would like to learn from our experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Finally, a comment from the chat. This one's from Aliyu Bashir. He said, Prof has raised a question about why it's difficult to access finance. What would be the solution? Well, I think this has been answered really about the different suggestions that Honorable have made. We've seen a number of comments, thanking us. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Finally, I think I'll call on the coordinator of AYMP, Dr. Yakubu, will just give us our closing remarks, and then we'll call it a day. Thank you. And yes, I can see quite a number of people are still wanting to ask questions. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but inshallah, we'll keep the discussion going on the social media platforms. Dr. Yakubu, would I give you a few minutes for your closing remarks, and we'll call it a day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tariq. It was indeed a wonderful session. We have learned a lot, as usual. I would like to extend our gratitude to our speakers, especially Professor Murtala Sagagi, who happened to be my lecturer in BUK around 13 years ago. So as usual, we really enjoyed Professor's lecture. That's what we usually call him back then, the international professor. So it's the same thing up till today. Thank you very much, Professor, for accepting our invitation. And I hope this will be the first in the series of our engagements with you. We look forward to having you many more times on this platform to continue to enlighten us. Honorable Lawal and Engineer Sanusi and Dr. Lawal Aminu Bala. We really appreciate you for taking your precious time to attend to this session and enlighten us on this remarkable subject. I hope that you will also continue to honor our invitation in future when we send them to you. Also to our audience, thank you very much. We can continue the discussion on our Telegram page in case you have anything you want to add. And I think Fauzia has shared the links to our social media platforms for future communications. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you in our future sessions.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. You've been wonderful participants. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you in our next session. And don't forget, obviously, there's quite a number of sessions that we've had in the past, and that you can have a look at. Definitely, you'll have a thing or two that you could pick from. Once again, as you've mentioned, Dr. Yakubu, thank you very much, Prof, Honorable Engineer, and Doctor, for sparing our invitation. And of
Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You can also be part of it as a mentor or student. Join the Arewa Youth Mentorship Program on Telegram, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. AYMP, together we can be great.